Hello and welcome to the relationships section of the National 5 video tutorials. Today we're going to look at changing the subject. Okay, so in order to effectively change the subject of an equation, you need to know your inverse operations or your opposite operations. Okay, the opposite to plus is minus, the opposite to minus is plus, the opposite to multiply is divide, the opposite to divide is multiply, the opposite to squared is square root, and the opposite to square root is squared. Also, you could have cubed and cubed root as well, or any power and any root. Okay, so in this first example, we've been asked to change the subject of this equation to x. We need to figure out what is happening to x in order to get y. Okay, so the first thing that's happening to x is being squared. Okay, the next thing that's happening to x is it is being multiplied by a, and then the last thing that's happening to x is that it is having p added onto it. Okay, so in order to change the subject of the equation, what we do is we do the inverse operation to each of these things. So instead of adding on p, we take away p. Instead of multiplying by a, we divide by a. And instead of squaring, we square root. Those are our inverse operations. Okay, so let's have a go at that. We start off with the equation y is equal to ax squared plus on p. Alright, the first thing we've been asked to do is take away p from both sides. Okay, so we're going to get y minus p is equal to ax squared. And the plus p on the end of there disappears because we're taking away p from both sides of the equation. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to divide by a, because what's happening to x is it is being multiplied by a, so we're going to undo that. Divide by a on both sides and we get y minus p all divided by a is equal to x squared. Alright, and our final step is instead of squaring, we're going to square root. So we get y minus p divided by a square rooted is equal to x on its own. X has been isolated here, so that's our final answer there. X is equal to y minus p over a square rooted, or the square root of y minus p over a. In this next example, again, we have been asked to change the subject of the volume of a sphere formula to r. So we're going to identify the things that are happening to r. The first thing that's happening to r is it's being cubed. The next thing that's happening to r is it is being multiplied by 4 pi. Okay, the top of the fraction as well as the multiplier next to r. And the last thing that's happening is it's being divided by 3. That's the bottom of the fraction. Okay, so let's reverse those things. We're going to start off with the equation that we started with. A equals 4 over 3 pi r cubed. First thing, we need to undo a divide by 3. So we get 3a's. We're going to multiply by 3 on both sides. Is equal to 4 pi r cubed. Next thing is we are undoing a multiply by 4 pi. So we get that 3a divided by 4 pi is equal to r cubed. And finally, we're undoing a cubed. That's what I said earlier when we were talking about the inverse operations. The opposite of cubed is cubed root. Okay, and the way you write that is you write the square root sign, but with a wee 3 at the side there. Okay, so our final answer is going to be r is equal to the cubed root of 3a divided by 4 pi. And again, our r has been isolated all on its own, so that is us changed the subject. We could swap it around so that r is on the left hand side, so it looks like the equation starts with r, but as long as you isolate r on its own, then that is you successfully changing the subject of the equation to r. Okay, so here's a few examples for you to have a go at. Make sure that you leave your answer with either x on the left hand side on its own or x on the right hand side of the equation on its own. And in a couple seconds I'll reveal the answers, so make sure you pause the video here. Okay, so the solutions for your questions. Question number 1, x is equal to 3y plus on 4g divided by 7. Number 2, x is equal to the square root of a minus 5 divided by 2. And everything has to be in the square root there. Number 3, x is equal to b plus 5 squared. So both b and plus 5 have to be squared there, divided by 8. And number 4, x is equal to 5 times 3y minus a squared, all divided by 2. Okay? Right, finally, if you'd like to practice this skill a little bit more, here's a few links to some past paper questions that you can do. Remember, all of these questions are downloadable from the SQA website for free. And keep studying, guys. Thanks for watching.